Yoy!
I'm not going to worry about your level of concern.
Yoy and double yoy!
We talking about
Twitter.
Triple yoy!
Think of how stupid the average person is, and then realize half of them are stupider than that.
Quadruple yoy!
We love Pittsburgh, PA. We love Steeler Nation.
We mock ourselves.
Here we go. It is What Yinz Talking About. The conversation about the Steelers' social media conversation. Here doing unique things to get unique results.
Oh, yeah.
And doing the ordinary extraordinary.
Yeah.
If you're a Nollite. I'm Kyle Kreis. Here with me is Greg Benevent.
Hello.
And on the ones and twos, it's DJ Denny.
Hey. Thankful to be here, guys. Thank you for having me.
We are very glad to have you here.
The Cognac Kid. Wait, where are you from?
Cognac.
Cognac?
Yeah, you nailed it.
Okay. He's in hostile waters today.
But hey, I was born in Erie, Pennsylvania. My roots are in PA.
There you go.
The other lake, not the mistake by the lake.
Exactly. That's my only disclaimer too. Growing up in Ohio, they're like, "But why?"
Well, it's the same
Pennsylvania.
lake, right? I mean, it's Erie's the lake that's by the Brown Stadium, or no?
Yeah, it's
Okay,
the same.
I see.
They share a lake.
Right, I see. It's the mistake, not the lake itself. It's
Well,
the mistake next to the lake.
Yeah, the Cuyahoga
Okay.
River caught on fire, and that's how that
I see.
came
Okay.
about. But it sounds cooler to say.
I'm learning things already. This is a good start.
If this is your first time listening to us, you're about to experience the conversation about the Steelers' social media conversation. And coming up in the second half, I'm going to tell you about the time that before Matt Canada, there was Chuck Noll. And when Chuck Noll got the Matt Canada treatment. So, everyone wants to judge and put Matt Canada on the ropes, but these are the same people 35 years ago who were saying it about Noll. So, as sands through the hourglass, let's get to the takes.
Uh-oh.
Starting with...
Oh my God!
groomed.
Kenny, you bastards!
That's right, we're grooming Kenny in year 2.
I hope.
And the takes are in, starting with... User Mayhem 201020 on Reddit saw this in another thread and had to share quarterback variance 2022. Total interceptions versus turnover worthy throws. So we've got an XY axis, and Kenny is literally in the middle of both axes, completely average in the NFL. Can we put it up on the board? Do we see the chart there?
Oh, okay. I'm looking at it. Yeah.
If it doesn't play on video, Kenny Pickett is like literally where the x-axis meets the y-axis. So where interceptions meet turnover-worthy throws at the crossroads, there will be Kenny Pickett.
Okay, so if I'm reading this right, and my grades in math show that that's probably not the case, what you want to be the most is, I don't know where you want to be the most. I mean, I guess I see Josh Allen and Kirk Cousins and Mahomes in the upper right. Boy, I see a lot of Derek Carr and Matt Ryan there too.
Yeah, I mean, they certainly had the most turnover-worthy throws, but I guess is it a matter of luck? Some guys like Joe Burrow, he looks like he threw a ton of interceptions, but didn't have as many turnover-worthy throws, so they're not really on him.
Well, I mean, just the other, again, I can't make heads or tails of this thing because I would think, okay, what I would want is the least amount of turnover-worthy throws and the least amount of total interceptions. And congratulations, I just made Cooper Rush. Like I made Joe Flacco, Sam Darnold, and Colt McCoy, none of which I would want to even be in the studio, let alone quarterbacking my team.
Or Mitchell Trubisky, he's on the low end.
I guess he is too, along with Deshaun Watson. I mean, but then there's Jalen Hurts down there. I mean, this is a very impressive graph because I feel like I know less about quarterbacking after having analyzed it.
It's just that Kenny is, if you said, Kenny's middle of the pack, I would say, okay, well, here's a graph that verifies that.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I look around, Kenny, and I see, and again, it's totally bizarre. I see he's right there with, Trevor Lawrence, Marcus Mariota, and Tua. I mean, this whole thing is befuddling to me. But again, it seems like, not to keep going back to that idea, the line from the movie The Man Who Wasn't There, the more you see, the less you know. And the more you see this, the more it's harder to put Kenny's season into context without thinking, wow, I really hope we're grooming him for a better second year.
It's my quarterback.
All right. Let's go on to enough of that graphic. Let's go on to the tweets. Come on. At Mic'd Up Sports 1. Mike Nicastro. Former Steelers punter Josh Miller is adamant that the team should have started Kenny Pickett in week 1 last year. There's something about clicking, grooving, and growing that they missed out on. Says they would have made the playoffs. It's like, are we living in our past? Like, we would have been a playoff team if not for those first 4 games.
I mean, I love Josh Miller. I mean, the man's career was fascinating. It was he was NFL punter, stand-up comic and radio host, and then later went on to make hockey sticks, which I think he either still does or has in the recent past. I mean, this is fun. I mean, it's okay to think that they put in Kenny sooner, maybe they make the playoffs, but to do that, you also have to give Kenny in his first game ever gets that win that Mitch did in Cincinnati. And I don't know if that happens. I mean, Mitch didn't have the most efficient game in that, but boy, he didn't lose that game after they got all those turnovers.
Yeah. Kenny in that week 1, that would have. Well, that was a
On
defensive
the road,
battle, though. Yeah.
In Cincinnati, at the defending AFC champions in as loud a stadium you're ever going to play in. It's. I mean, maybe I don't know. Kenny gets. If Kenny starts, does Gunner not fumble against the Pats? I mean, there's a lot going on here that it's. I mean, I can see the point, but I'm not sure I 100% agree with it.
This is punters just trying to hot take themselves with their own
but
shows.
Miller's an all right guy. I like listening. I'm glad he's still around. I didn't know he was still around to give takes. I thought he'd gone into the woods to make hockey sticks or whatever it is, wherever you do such a thing.
Well, speaking of not knowing he's still around, at Bernie Kosar QB, Bernie Kosar, outstanding Steelers quarterback all over Ohio today, and he posted a pic with Kenny at some kind of autograph event. Do we have it on the board?
Yeah, we do. I saw it, and I 2 things. One, Barney looks great. I mean, I mean, I made the joke before we started about how he looks like Vince McMahon, but just in the last week where we saw a picture of Mike Tomczak, he looks better than Mike Tomczak does. And he's like, what, a decade older? But yeah, I guess this is the new thing, and it's one. I don't mean to be like a kids these days, have it tougher kind of thing, but it's the idea that you got to spend like $100 or something to get in the door to pay for an autograph or be around an autograph. That seems like a tough go. I mean, in my day, you had to give like some weird car dealership $30 so you could stand next to Casey Hampton.
You had to stalk the players in the parking lot, hoping to catch a glimpse of Rafael Belliard going into his pickup.
Man. Yes.
Is this a Browns jinx? Posing with the Brownie QB over there.
I don't know. I mean, the fact that I'm looking at the picture to tweet, and Bernie Kosar, he's got hashtags, he's got his website, he's got all these things going on. This feels like it's a more even despite the fact that it says "Go Browns" hashtag in it. I get the feeling this is a little broader strokes than that because didn't he get a picture with Terry too? Wasn't Bradshaw the same thing?
Yeah, he did actually.
Bradshaw and Kosar took a picture.
Yeah,
of this. I didn't see that.
And Bernie's like a foot taller than Terry, or Bernie was standing on a box or something. Like it's and at that point you saw like, oh, there's an age difference between these guys too, Terry and Bernie. But yeah, I think Bernie was Bernie was the one like, I'm going to build my following greater at this event.
I don't think that I think if Cope saw that, he would. He'd not be too pleased about it.
I think they just want to embrace a new era so badly. From
even Bernie. Even Bernie's like, let's hitch our wagons onto the future here. Let's move on to at Mark Cabali. Mark Cabali, Steelers insider. Pickett has ingratiated himself with just about everyone in that locker room in a very short period. There's not a person who doesn't like him, doesn't want to hang out with him, and doesn't respect him. He's the big man on campus. Year 2, Kenny, obviously getting the captain then, I guess.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, or at least he's getting the honor of the 2 different double negatives from Carbali, a professional writer. So that's a sign that you're advancing. I mean, I think after having seen Kenny on 100 podcasts, other than the one we're on right now, I kind of get it beyond the idea of him just being the professional quarterback. He is cool. Like, the guy's confident. He's very easygoing. He seems like he's easy to get along with just in the brief glimpses of his personality. I absolutely get it. You put that on top of the fact that, hey, these other guys as coworkers want to get along with him. They want him to be a leader, and the guy knows how to do it. He's done it for a while. This makes a lot of sense to me. It's good to read this. People think like, it doesn't matter. It's like, well, it would matter if it was the opposite.
Yeah.
Yeah, if no one wanted to, like, didn't we have ego quarterbacks in the past, like Bubby or even Ben?
There was a lot of that kind of talk with Ben, yeah. But Ben won so much so early that I think that kind of glossed over, and I think that might have also changed how some of that went too. And that's also a different era in terms of these guys hanging out and getting to know each other and that sort of thing. So so I think having the more you hear they all like him and respect him, that doesn't mean they're gonna win, but it means there's a better chance of better things.
It means that Kenny, he's got something. He's
The gabagool.
He's got the gabagool.
I knew that one was coming that time. I knew it. That's so great.
More proof of the gabagool from at B Pryor, Brooke Pryor. Looks like Kenny Pickett and Hillary Trubisky, Mitch's wife, celebrated their birthdays with a joint party this weekend. Pickett turns 25 on the 6th. Trubisky isn't just saying stuff when he says his relationship with Pickett factored into the decision. And they posted the picture on. Do we have the pic
I
up?
thought I saw it a second ago. Yeah.
We don't have the pic. Whatever. Well, so it's Kenny and Mitch, but they each got separate cakes. That was my only thing. If this was a joint party, why are we eating separate birthday cakes?
Well, I mean, it's they're not actually brothers. I mean, that made sense to me, having the separate cakes. Just it's not like they can't afford the 2 cakes. They didn't just go get these sort of like, a Dunce Bakery or whatever. We have to split this one cake. I mean, it makes sense. I mean, to me, I guess I didn't realize that, but I mean, I used to share a joint birthday with my college roommate, and we would still get separate cakes, although his was the day after mine. But yeah. I mean, and also too, those aren't like wedding cakes. I guess it'd be kind of weird to just have one cake, because then we'd all have to hold it. In the picture, I see 2 people holding 2 cakes versus 4 people holding 1 cake.
Yeah. Do we have it up on the board now?
Yes.
I mean, I don't know. That's enough cakes to feed a birthday party.
Well,
I don't
also
know.
look at these 4 people. How much cake do they eat?
Yeah. No one's eating cake. Kenny's not eating cakes, right? He's getting
Mitch
into trim
isn't either.
shape.
Yeah.
Mitch is looking like Goldberg up there. Look at that neck,
Looks
man.
pretty good.
Look at those traps. Ooh.
I think it's symbolic. Everyone's going to get a slice this year.
There you go.
All
Even if
right.
you're
There you
back
go.
up, everyone's going to have a hand in the pile. The standard is the standard.
There's no one even remotely overweight within the frame of this picture.
They're eating at
women.
Walter's Barbecue, and I haven't had that, but they're having barbecue and cake.
Cream of the crop.
Yeah,
Okay.
all right.
Well, there's some kind of beans or something too behind them, behind Kenny's elbow here, right? Is that
Oh,
what
they
I'm saying?
catered? It looks like they
That
catered.
looks catered. Yeah, I think.
Man, that's a birthday party. My last birthday party, I think, was Papa John's, takeout. So, okay, enough. We've got plenty to talk about. In fact,
Okay.
let's juice. We haven't even talked about OTAs. OTA Me
OTAs.
ASAP. Let's get to at Mic'd Up Sports 1, Mike Nicastro. Contrary to my thoughts on the matter, here was the language used today to describe Calvin Austin III. He's in the Steelers' plans big time offensively. This is the first clue that Calvin Austin is going to be on the field?
I mean, that's been the talk the last couple days, is how much they're using Calvin Austin and how fast he is. Didn't Patrick Peterson himself, who I find myself incapable of referring to him as Pat Pete, say that? Like, that joker's fast. I mean, he even commented on how fast Austin is. I mean, this all sounds great, but I just worry about, we're building a whole, the idea of building a lot, not to live in my fears, which I'm absolutely doing, but I mean, here's a guy that didn't play at all last year. Like, let's build him a big part in the offense, and not sure if he's 100%. And then it's like when KZ didn't play for 8 weeks, and that kind of set the defense back too. But hey, if this guy's as fast as they say, why not? One more thing to try.
I laugh at that.
I don't know. I'm just getting Dree Archer vibes where it was like everyone
Exactly.
was waiting for the big moment to happen and it just didn't happen. But,
I don't know if it was ever this positive. I don't know. I mean, it's a different era in terms of people talking about it, but I don't remember, and I could be wrong, anyone ever talking about Dree Archer that didn't have a hand in picking Dree Archer at the time. Like, it was Coward, the coaches, being like, yeah, this guy's fast. They were like, well, how is he a player? He is fast.
yeah, no one ever said big time offensive player Dree Archer.
Well, I mean, but I'm talking, it was hit me like there was no, like, one of the Steelers quarterbacks did not have his own podcast where he went out and said, that guy's very fast about Dree Archer. Like, maybe he would have. Maybe the Ricardo Coakley Hour would have mentioned that at the time. But
He's a joker. He's a midnight toker. Let's move on to Blitzburg. I didn't see this anywhere else but Blitzburg. Apparently, Kevin Dotson was benched during a drill in OTAs for a false start. Coach Tomlin told him to get his head out of his ass and sit him. Okay. I saw that I looked far and wide. It must have been this come up in one of the insiders' live chats or something. I didn't see this.
I mean, it feels like something that would have they would have broken containment and gone out into the larger nation. But I mean, it is weird. And it seems like this kind of thing happens a lot where, like, a player will say something that doesn't sit necessarily too well with a portion or a lot of the fan base, and then all of a sudden the next day something will happen at practice that no one else can confirm that maybe kind of, also reflects poorly on the player. So did this happen? Maybe. If it did happen, maybe it didn't happen exactly like this, but yeah, I can't speak to any of this, but I don't know. I mean, like I said, I read it and the first thing I thought of was Dotson's comment about, Broderick Jones is really going to look forward to a big 2024 or whatever he said the other week. And we're like, okay.
Listen, I trust Mike T wholeheartedly, man.
Okay, Kenny. I don't know. Yeah, talk about first round draft pick Broderick Jones. Mm-hmm. The doubters are creeping in at PGH Steelers now. Greg Cosell is unsure if Broderick Jones can start year one. Based on tape study, all that tape we've had that's been out there, I did not think that Broderick Jones would be ready to start in year one, but I guess we'll find out.
I like the way you said Greg Cosell, because I was going to be like, who is Greg Cosell? Is he related to Howard? I mean, he's got to be, right? I mean, how many Cosells can there be around professional sports? I don't know. I mean, I just heard the opposite. I forget if it was Kovacevic or Williamson. It might have been Kovacevic, where they were like, absolutely, Jones is going to start. He might even start against the Niners. Again, I don't think anyone should make either of these determinations by, what are we up now?
Exactly.
Week day 8 or 9 of OTAs. Like, we just had go-kart day
a
couple days ago. You got to wait a little while after go-kart day to anoint a starter.
I didn't hear anything about who was the best hot shots hoops thrower or who excelled at the Dave and
Mitch
Buster's.
was good at the go-karts. I thought I
Mitch
heard
was?
that. I thought I heard that. I don't want to confirm it. I don't want to be, the only person confirming. Mitch was good at the go-karts.
Don't want to reculate on go-karts.
Yes, but I thought I'd read that.
Okay, well,
there's my insider take. I thought I'd read that, which makes me the most honest insider already.
I thought I was a Dan Moore fan. I was rooting for Dan Moore, but then I saw the tweet from at Brian Batko. Broderick Jones is trying to find a bowling alley in Pittsburgh, so keep an eye out for him if you hit the lanes. He's hard to miss. Jones says he's a 200 to 220 guy when he's not out of practice like he is now. So not since the bus have we had a 200 bowler. Wow. And I don't know. I'm ready to. I think I could really take on Broderick Jones.
Because you were good, if I remember. You were a good bowler.
I was flirting with a 200 league average for a minute there, but like Broderick, I'm out of practice right now, but I'm ready to get back in.
Well, I mean, also too, yeah, and I mean, again, the idea, if Broderick Jones is at your bowling alley, you will know. You will not have to send pictures or ask, hey, is this the guy? No, that's the guy. But that's impressive. I mean, this Jones guy seems to have as good a head on his shoulders for keeping this all in perspective as anybody. I mean, I know the idea is when the draft pick comes in, you take him for Manny's, you put him on Mount Washington. With him, they took him to the zoo. Yeah, that was different. That was, and that was. I don't think that was just marketing. I think the guy wanted to go see the zoo. I think he's a
snake guy. He's like Chad Brown with the snakes.
It's a pretty unique dude. I think should he obviously don't count him working out as a player, but I think this is someone that could grow into the fan favorite rather quickly.
Okay, let's move to defense. At PGH Steelers Now is back. Steelers Now. Joey Porter Jr. and Corey Trice, no names, no gimmicks, have earned the nickname Avatar Cornerbacks as a duo, and teammates continue to be impressed with them. I don't love it. I hate it. Avatar Cornerbacks, it just means to me that Coach T has watched Avatar and probably Avatar 2.
Well, I mean, I was going to say it means that they're very tall and incredibly thin. That's what I got out of that. If you're going to compare them to the Neytiri or whatever it was, and I still haven't seen the second movie. I've been lying about it for a few months.
It's just now hit Disney Plus.
Oh, okay, Max.
So, yeah, maybe I will. Maybe I will finally.
I'm going to watch
it.
No, I'm going to take a week off of work so that I can finish it. But yeah, it's. I don't know. I mean, the idea of the teammates continue to be impressed with them is great. We're again, just as we're too early to anoint a starter, I think we're also too early to anoint a nickname. I think that could be determined by in stadium too, or even in training camp.
Exactly.
It's like if we want to talk about tall, I'm talking about how about like the Duncan twins or something like in honor of Tim Duncan. How about that? Can we get that going?
Or just any. There's so many large things that you can name someone after that you don't have to stick with a movie franchise that perhaps not everyone is all that familiar with. But it was big. Maybe it'll stick. I don't know.
Including Corey Trice has not what they asked him about. He's like, I haven't seen it. So
it makes it hard to think that's gonna last.
CB1 in my book, Corey Trice. Let's go on to, speaking of nicknames, by Josh Carney. Josh Carney. Steelers veteran D-lineman Larry Ogunjobi is pretty impressed with rookie Keanu Benton so far in OTAs, calling him a dancing bear on Tuesday. The Dancing Bear. Are you liking that one?
That's better, or just because that's something I'm familiar with. Wasn't that the name of a Russian hacking group? Wasn't that something from a recent past? But Dancing Bear is, I mean, something that can be both menacing and silly, which means it's in a way a very good nickname. I think if it walks that fine line between ridiculous and intimidating, you're probably off to a good start on a nickname.
That's got to stick. I remember Jay Wobble.
Wobble, yeah.
But that was also tied to his real name.
That's true.
I mean, that was sort of, and the man was so squat. I mean, that was perfect. But again, that perfect line of silly and tough.
Dancing Bear is also for the OGs a Randy Newman reference, a Randy Newman song. So if you want to,
I never knew that.
Well, you're probably not a Randy Newman fan like me.
I'm not.
Yeah.
That I Love LA song drives me nuts.
Really?
Well, I mean, I think I associate it too much with Dodger games, but yeah.
We love it. All right, last thing on OTAs before we take a break. At Coach Tomlin, Mike Tomlin, one of my favorite days is our alumni visit. These guys set the standard that we will all follow. Could you name any of the players in the photo?
I got most of these that are here. My aunt Diane immediately sent me that picture and said, okay, we have to figure this out. I got the names that you've mentioned here with the exception of Delton Hall. We went back and forth on Spaeth for a while. We finally got that. But the names we have here, there were more men here than that. There were a lot I did not know in that picture, and that made me feel bad.
Yeah, there was Colbert, Charlie Batch, Arthur Moats, Sean Sweesom, Delton Hall, the cornerback from the late 80s.
Okay, where was Delton in regards to the picture? Because this isn't left to right, which you have mentioned here. I mean, Colbert and Sweesom were on the left. Tom Zach was in the middle with Wolfley. Tom Zach was right there with Lips. I mean, okay. But I mean, there were a lot of these guys I did not get, and I was like, I should know this.
I'm trying to get the picture up, but of course, technical difficulties ruin my life. Wait, can we get it? Let's see. Nope, I don't have it on I don't have it on.
It's the first time. We're figuring it out. I'm just so glad we have a screen. That's awesome. Right. That's awesome, dude. It really is.
Yeah, someone's job is it's me. I'm firing myself.
No, you're doing great. You are doing great.
Enough. Let's just get to the second half because
we're gonna take a knee and run out the clock.
Yeah, coming up in the second half, we'll get to a fan favorite, some Blame Canada. Everyone likes that, but I want to remind everyone about the time when Chuck Noll was given the Canada treatment. You think that we've got it tough now. All the same play calling, all the, no talent coordinator. Well, we were saying the same thing about the Emperor 35 years ago. Maybe not this month, but. All right, we'll be back in the second half. Raise your brand, you got it. Raise your brand, you want it. You got confident, secure. Feeling confident? Raise your brand. Got 150 million? Raise your brand. Need AI solutions to carbon-based insurance problems? Raise your brand and reach for Acrisure. Confidence, confidence, tried and secure. Raise your brand, Acrisure. Raise your brand, Acrisure. All right, it's the second half of what Yinz talking about. We promised to have our acts together, but unfortunately, promises.
Well, we're still us, I think, is a work in progress.
Let's play the hits. When I want to feel good at night before I go to bed, when I think of this cold, cold world, I say, let's see what they're tweeting about. Matt Canada. At Kyle Beagle. Pittsburgh's offense could set a historically shameful record in 2023. Could be the first time ever the Steelers have had a 20th or worst ranked offense for 3 straight years. If anything is an indictment on Matt Canada, would this be one?
I mean, my initial thought has nothing to do with Matt Canada. It's like, how did they not hit that in 98, 99, and 2000? Or like, how did they not hit that at some point, like in the 80s? I mean, that's, the last 2 years of Cordell and Kent Graham. Like, how was that not outside the 20? That also makes me feel like maybe like, there were a couple years of like 19 or like a year of 19 or something. And because 20 seems like a rather arbitrary number to set this. But I mean, obviously the years of transition and the years of the old quarterback. I mean, this would not be good to have set this record, particularly mentioning the rough offenses that I just did to hit that.
If the Steelers are ranked below 20 offensively, but make the playoffs, so
then who cares? I mean, it's obviously you still got to get better, and that's the kind of scenario where like they could make the playoffs and still end up firing Canada. But to make the playoffs, yes, is far more important. And then it's like anything else. You get into the tournament and you hope for the best. You hope that you can just keep running on the Chiefs or whatever would happen in that scenario. But yeah, it wouldn't be a good look to get there. But if you get in the playoffs, that manages to salvage a lot of wounds.
Ooh, yeah, wound salve is, I think, is something that's on Mason's locker. We'll get to that in a second. At Steelers News Now, Steelers fans, Steelers offensive coordinator Matt Canada bringing big changes to offense. The quote from Mace, there are plenty of new concepts, I can tell you that I've had to learn. It's not the same mode of operation. I'm not going to say we're revolutionizing our offense and everything is changing, but there are some new things that can make us a lot better. New concepts, the Glengarry plays.
You beat me to it. Mason has confirmed the Glengarry plays. Williamson got them out of the safe. This is about to happen. Yes.
What could we're not going to revolutionize. So I mean, we're not going back to the Ben gunslinging era.
No, and also too, I mean, because you're never going to know 100%, particularly in that era, how much is the quarterback and how much is the coordinator, especially in those years where Ben wanted you to know as much as possible. Hey, it was me and I called that. But it does seem it. This is what we'd hoped would happen, right? I mean, again, this is the same thing as we were saying earlier about Kenny being a leader. If they were not saying, it's like you're saying this like, okay, that's just talk. All right, it's better than them not talking this. If they're not saying like, yeah, we're doing the same things, it's going to be better this time. You'd be like, wow, that's awful. Like,
if they came out and said, hey, we're really just going to focus on executing better and it's not about the playbook, you think that would be a red flag?
I mean, as much as, it hits me now that we're really analyzing the quotes, the third string quarterback in the OTAs. Like, this is, this is possible something Mason said while he was like changing to go to lunch. Like, oh, yeah, we're new stuff. We're not revolutionizing. I'm just, there's some new things. They're going to make us better. All right, I'm going to get some steak. You guys good? Like,
'tis a season.
Yeah. I mean, it's this sounds I mean, it's an encouraging thing to hear them say. I do prefer that versus the execution part, but yeah, this is good. It's again, not only the Steelers have probably the league's best third quarterback, but maybe the most quotable third string quarterback as well.
You can frame it however the hell you want to frame it.
All right, let's keep the locker talk going. I saw someone had the interview with our new tight end, and I couldn't help but look over his shoulder, and there was Mace's locker. And I don't know if we can bring up the big board.
I'm looking at it right now.
He's got not one, not two, but 3 different types of sun lotion in his locker, and they've all been well squeezed. I see a banana boat there. Those 2 other brands, I couldn't. Those are boutique brands.
Those are nice ones. Yeah,
I couldn't locate them.
Oh, I want to say is this is the most I've related to Mason Rudolph since that time he got jacked up by that safety against the Ravens. I mean, at this point in my life, I do not go outside ever without sunscreen on as one more way to protect skincare, no matter what. But I'm also older and more broken down than Mason Rudolph. So, like, for this guy to go to that level of skincare already, I feel a strong connection to this man. And I mean, I always thought he was the best third-string quarterback in the league. Now he's definitely my favorite third-string quarterback in the league.
And it's a lot easier if someone wants to grab you by your helmet. A lot easier for that to slip off the face with if you're well lathered up.
There you go.
With the banana boat there, you know.
I think I have that same brand in my car.
Oh, it wasn't that dumb. Come on. Last thing on Canada. This might not even be Canada. At Blitzburg. Connor Hayward. There's not a linebacker in this league who can cover me. I'm serious. Is this the weapon? This is part of the Glengarry plays.
I think he's. I'm glad he's talking like this. I mean, he's. I imagine that, can Micah Parsons cover him if he really wanted to? Yeah, probably. But also if you're, a defensive coordinator and you're drawing up the, your defense, I don't know if you're putting your best linebacker on the team's 4th tight end, 2nd fullback, whatever it is exactly that Connor Hayward does. So he definitely seems like the kind of guy, hey, maybe he's not getting 10 balls a game, but I imagine the balls he's getting, he's probably going to be open when he's out there for them.
I believe him.
Yeah. It could be.
I really do.
Okay, 2 believers. Then I'll say that I'll believe it when I see it.
There you go.
It's also implying that, he's hoping that he's getting the ball in not obvious passing situations, because if it was an obvious pass situation, it's going to be another DB on the field, not necessarily a linebacker.
It could be, but the touchdown against the Falcons was genuinely impressive.
That's
that
right.
Deep pass against
dad.
The Browns. I mean, it's. He's. I mean, it's. I don't think if he's the best 6th round. He's not the best 6th round pick they ever had, but he's one that certainly is always going to be able to contribute on game day in some way.
He was already slippery, but then losing weight, I feel like he's going to be a little quicker, a little more elusive. And he's a Swiss Army knife. Where's he going to line up?
I had no idea.
And he might have some of that lotion, some of Mace's lotion. He'll be even slippier.
Oh, callbacks. Spring ring.
All right. I've been studying a lot. It's the 35th anniversary of the 88 team, which, if you thought that this was a bad string of years for Steeler fans, 6 years, no playoff wins. Well, back then in 88, we'd only had 1 playoff win since the 79 season and 0 playoff appearances since the 84 season. I consider that to be, a true nadir, what's the word?
Nadir.
Nadir.
You're right there, though. You're doing great.
Then today, I think that era is worse off than today. If you ask me.
Well, those teams also. I mean, again, you're getting to the point that the team was 500 in the days since the dynasty, and this team, for all its struggles in terms of the playoffs and advancing within them, it's not 5. It hasn't been 500.
This era has been more than 500.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
it has been better than that. Yeah, that's what I was. That's why I think you're right about that being the nadir.
So, if, Twitter didn't exist in 88, but if it did, I think you'd find that some of the tweets would be a lot similar to the haters of today. Let's see if I got here one from, this is Myron Cope, 88. After the Steelers go for it on 4th and goal and get stuffed. That is not Chuck Noll. I can't believe it. That's a classic dumb cough call, Noll. Noll hater there in Myron Cope. Pardon me. How about, this is from Steelers' own ground crew after week 5 when the team started 1-4. These play calls, Chuck is so conservative. you always tell just what he's going to do. That was the Steelers' own ground crew.
I mean, I was just envisioning the guys speaking in Japanese, subtitled from Major League. Isn't that same bit happen there? Like,
what year did Major League come out? Would that have been
87. Yeah, that's right around the same. Yeah.
So fans were feeling very emboldened by.
Yes, I think also each of them imagined they were the characters from the movie. So yeah. And,
how about in Week 7 that year? This sounds right out of the Canada hate. At anonymous fan. Hey Noll, newsflash. Hey Noll, newsflash. Forward pass legalized. That sounds exactly.
Oh, I remember hearing fans say that when I was there with the old man in '92 and '93. Cowher's first 2 years. Yes.
Even on a hot mic, not necessarily a hot mic, but I think it was at a picnic at Bubby Brister, caught saying, Noll's offense is so predictable, we might as well punt on first down. Imagine if Kenny came out and said that about Canada. They would be hell to pay.
Right, and I think it's also important to show that this was the time when media training really didn't exist. I mean, the idea of Prime Bubby on Twitter is a wonderful parallel dimension. I mean, that's one I definitely love to explore.
I found him on LinkedIn, actually. I've reached out. I want to get Bubby to talk about the 88 season.
Is he doing consulting now? What's Bubby doing on LinkedIn?
He's vice president of whatever he's doing. So
multiple time Super Bowl champion Bubby. Wasn't he back up Elway?
Two-time champion.
Talk about people that cleaned up and found a way to be presentable there. Yes, but yes, obviously, to go to a picnic and say, over the catered beans, to say that we Noll might as well punt on first down is kind of why media training came to exist.
The insiders treated Noll just like they treat Canada. How about at Gene Collier, 88? This mess carries Noll's name on it. And the Pittsburgh Press went a step further. It's as if the Steelers were being coached by Charles Chaplin, not Charles Noll. That's a reference. Is it because of the goofiness, or just because he didn't talk?
I think it's because they tried to find somebody that you would associate with being goofy who was also named Charles. Remember, this is a time before we had technology. It's also a time before we had good analogies. So you had to do stuff like this.
Or good jokes, I guess.
Yes, that too.
The media, the media back then, at Paul McGuire, NBC broadcast booth, during the Steelers-Broncos games. Will the lady who left her 11 kids at Three River Stadium please pick up their children? They're beating the Steelers 21-0.
If you kind of forget, if you're too young for it, Paul McGuire was during the broadcast, he was essentially the guy who would say the funny thing. He was the one that kind of had the clearance to make these kinds of comments, and in a time before comedy and comedians were such a big part of football broadcasts. But yes, I mean, it's today that sounds absolutely ridiculous to us, but that's definitely the kind of thing you could have heard. I mean, I didn't start following the team until '92, but it's definitely the kind of thing Paul was still saying in '92.
This all makes me think because on one hand, I'm like, man, it's Matt Canada against the world. Is it maybe everyone's right? If it's, if no one really believes in him, maybe it is right. It's time for him to go. But then I'm like, all these same people just, a generation ago was saying the same thing about Chuck Noll. Now, you won't hear him say that again today. Now, I don't hear anyone saying, Chuck Noll, isn't anything less than the greatest coach ever.
Well, I mean, the 4 Super Bowl championships carry a lot of weight, but I'm not saying mourning because he passed away, but mourning because he's no longer the coach. I mean, you're able to look at the totality of his work versus what's probably his worst season. And he's gone, 3 years after this, right? I mean, this is 88. He's gone after the 91 season. Not forced out, but strongly encouraged to pursue his life's work at that point.
Well, in this season, everyone was predicting, we had never been here, we didn't know that Rooney's stuck with their guys at this point, in 88. We didn't know that
True.
We're only going to be 3 coaches in the next 100 years or something. Mm-hmm. And so this season, people thought in week 8 that Chuck would just straight up quit mid-season.
I believe it.
Seems like a shock. You would no, he would never do that. But at the time, that was the consensus.
And I also, and correct me if I'm wrong here, this season goes on into the next season that starts with the 2 worst losses ever, right? Those 2 50 ones. So I mean, losing by 50. So I can't imagine what that was like going into week 3. And I think all of this that we're talking about is part of what makes that, is why that season gets pointed to, frankly, more often than a lot of the Super Bowl seasons, as like this amazing thing. That one where they go to the playoffs and beat the Oilers.
89, yeah. That's
like, this is the subtext to that, what builds up to that.
Well, I'd love to get some 88, 89 members on this. We'll see. No one else is talking 88, so
No. We're right here on this cutting edge niche of comparing Chuck Noll to Matt Canada.
So if I can get Bubby and Delton Hall, and
I think just finding Bubby on LinkedIn was pretty great. I mean, that's you've done yeoman's work in that regard. Does he still go by Bubby, or is it like Walter Brister?
Oh no, it's
still
Bubby.
Okay.
Bubby Brister.
That's true. He's his own brand. I mean, if there's one thing they're all about on LinkedIn, it's branding.
I think Todd Haley's on hold too.
He'd
like to have a word about.
Oh man, if we could get Todd on here, and because we would never ask him about Tequila Cowboy, like we would ask him about like football. Oh man.
Sure. Once upon a time, that was the big talk. Mm-hmm. His play calling, his decisions, get him out of town.
And also too, he's a passionate, fired up guy as well. I mean, that's what all these guys were talking about. That would be anyway. Yes, that's a distraction for a larger point. But yes.
Well, let's. I think the band is on the field. Chuck Noll had some Canada years. Without the hat. That's
before Super Bowls helped too.
But I'm starting to be convinced that 16 years, no losing seasons in the free agency era is a bigger impressive streak than 4 Super Bowls in 6 years with 10 Hall of Famers. I don't know. I'm starting to lean that way. Call me.
That is. You're trying to craft this contrarianism. Yes.
Is it contrarianism? It's just the more that I learn about that era, it makes what we're accomplishing now all that more remarkable to me.
There you go.
All right, let's. We got some odds and ends. Mm-hmm. Starting with at Maiko Pasquale, the best fans in the NFL according to research by Sidelines.io.
What is .io?
It's operating system, or is that the Apple? I don't know. I guess it can be a website also. IO.
Okay.
Well. They've ranked the Steelers as the 7th best fans in the league, behind the Cowboys, Niners, Chiefs, Rams, Seahawks, Raiders.
So making the playoffs
by according to fans.
Yes, getting in the wild card. Yeah.
Now, we're in the past, we've referenced at least 2 studies that to say that the Steeler fans are some of the worst, at least on negativity, social media. Mm-hmm. This paints a different picture, but I'm not in love with this because their data took 8 metrics and gave them all equal weight. Things like social media engagement, attendance, the amount of money spent on merch. So, this is basically to me like a banker's best fan, a money changer's best fan base is.
Well, I agree with that 100%. And I'd also like to point out, obviously the Chiefs, the Rams, and the Raiders, or at least certainly the Chiefs and Raiders, have devout fan bases that go back decades. But this is also a team that shifted to a new city and thus has all new merchandise. A team and the last 2 Super Bowl champions.
Yeah.
So obviously those people are going to be buying a lot of that stuff. The Cowboys, the Niners, and the Seahawks. I could see if you were a Seahawks fan being told for an entire year you're going to have the worst team in the league, and then making a real run at the playoffs, wanting to go out and buy stuff too. So
I'm not ready to put Steeler fans up on this 7th best pedestal yet. I still think that our research, our trusted research from sites like bookies.com and betting.com.
I forget what the other one was. It was something like that. But I was going to say, but if you want to look at it from the context of the Steelers fans willing to spend money on the team, then yeah, they're always going to be up here towards the top. That certainly makes sense. If you want to spend money on the team, then yeah, the Steelers are always going to rank very highly in that regard, because correct me if I'm wrong, there's no teams here that haven't made the playoffs, and you know what I mean? Like there's in some time here. These are the Raiders.
Raiders, Cowboys made it, I guess.
Yeah, Cowboys just beat Brady at the last game.
Okay.
But yeah.
Well, all right. Mm-hmm. Well, stay tuned, 7th best fans. Let's move on to at Trib Sports, Tribune Review Sports. The white road uniform that Steelers linebacker James Harrison wore when recording his first sack and also his first NFL touchdown are up for auction. This is one jersey, 2 things in one game. The final price was $9,100.80. I sure hope that 80 didn't put over the last bid there.
Was this the game? The first game I remember him of is the one where Joey Porter gets in the fight with Willie Green III at Cleveland, and Porter's kicked out, and Harrison has to come in and play.
Oh, yeah.
Is this that game?
That's his first start, right?
Yeah, but I don't know if it's
His
the first game.
sack.
I'm thinking, is this the same game? Because I can believe he got a sack in that game, but I feel like I'd remember if he got a touchdown, but now I don't know.
$9,000 for a jersey. Is that, you talk about the money we're spending on the team?
Yeah, that's that. This one person is actually trying to get them up into the top 5 at just by spending this.
I mean, I could probably afford a Harrison Patriots jersey. That might be a game worn Patriots.
Yeah, I mean, he wore this when he sacked Blake Bortles. I don't know. Yeah, and again, it's what do you do with this? I mean, you put it in the background. Well, you record your own podcast. Like, what do you do with this Harrison jersey?
I need a jersey. I need a game worn jersey back here somehow.
We need to get that weird Johnny Bench jersey, whatever it is that Roethlisberger has.
His first 2 sacks came against Cleveland on November 14th of the 2004 season.
So that's that game, but does he score a touchdown in that game? I don't remember that. I remember watching the game because we turned it on. We were initially scared, like, oh, Porter got... because I was at Conneaut Lake at the time. I remember Porter got thrown out for fighting Willie Green during the warm-ups, but yeah.
Well, I mean, it's certainly the era there. You think Harrison might want to buy it himself? I guess maybe he was selling.
That's sort of what I thought was happening.
I fact-checked myself. He got 1 sack and he did have a touchdown. His first defensive touchdown on that November 14th.
Okay, there you go. And my memory's part of my memory is good, part of it very bad.
DJ Denny coming through with the.
Alrighty.
All right, let's give the final word to at Steelers, Pittsburgh Steelers. Steelers Blackjack hits harder. Steelers Blackjack is officially live on the BetParx app. And I wanted to play Steelers Blackjack, but it's not. It's only available in Pennsylvania, Ohio, and surrounding areas.
Okay, I mean, we have to get in on offering our own sportsbook website because everyone else is doing this. I mean, I remember the last time I was at home, or maybe it was the time before that, Charlie Batch had a radio come play like Charlie Batch Sportsbook, or he was the spokesperson for one of these things. This is please sign up for the Steelers emails. The Steelers partners emails are amazing. I got this one yesterday, and I forwarded it to the other day. I forwarded it to Kyle. Then I got the one for Steelers whiskey. Did you see this?
No.
The Dubliner
Okay.
Steelers Irish whiskey.
I know Bradshaw has his own whiskey too.
This is official Steelers whiskey,
Wow.
and I'm thinking I don't know whiskey. I'm a vodka guy, but I mean I obviously could be talked into spending too much money with something that has the Steelers logo on it.
Yeah, would you spend $100 for a Steelers bottle of whiskey? I probably would.
I probably would
don't
too,
know.
and then you fill it with vodka after you finish drinking out that whiskey.
Or like the Heinz ketchup bottles I have from the 2008 Super Bowl that they're still on my shelf.
Right.
That's gonna probably grow mold and kill me one day, but. I want Steelers Blackjack because you know what? That's a place where at least I know that I could be like, hey, listen to my podcast, and they'd be like, oh, all Steelers fans on the Steelers Blackjack.
Is it live dealer? I mean, do we know that?
I don't know. I don't have the BetParx app.
No, but I'm curious. I mean, it's one thing if it's the machine. It's something else if you're talking to someone in a dimly lit room dealing you blackjack.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
That's what we've been talking about.
I guess that's what we've been talking about. Keep the conversation going, I guess.
You could.
I'm just like over Twitter and that. I'm trying to find. I set up an email. If you want to email.
Hey.
Of course, I screwed it up. I couldn't get what Yinz talking about at Gmail because I screwed it up somehow.
No.
And so it's yinzpod412 at gmail.com. Send us your emails.
I love that. Yinzpod412 at gmail.com. That's great.
We'd love to hear from you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I guess.
Danny just got here. He'd love to hear from you too. Yeah.
Yeah, really. I'm excited to hear from Yinz.
Good job on day one, Dan. How do you feel?
Hey, I feel really good.
We're glad to have you. We really
Thank
are.
you. I appreciate you guys. This is a lot of fun. Excited to be back next week.
This is a hoot.
I guess we'll be back next week then.
Might as well be. Sure. I mean, why not? Danny enjoyed it, so we should.
have to be.
We should.
All right. Until then, you can keep the conversation going or something. Just make sure to listen to your coach.
Be their best selves. That's going to be required.
Stay in school.